One autumn, sometime after the year 262 AC, when King Ares II, the Mad King, sat the Iron Throne, and Tywin Lannister served as his hand, Lord Tytos Lannister, father of Tywin and Warden of the West, was out in his lands. Tytos made the mistake of getting between a lion and her prey, and the lion didn't seem to care she was the Lannisters' own sigil. The lion attacked Lord Tytos, tearing into his horse, seeking to get to him and kill him. The lion may have succeeded if not for the quick thinking of the Lord's Kennel Master. The Kennel Master rushed to the location, releasing the hounds to rescue Tytos and give him a chance. In the struggle to keep his lord alive, the Kennel Master lost a leg and 3 of his dogs died. However, the dogs did their job, and they were able to run the lion off without harm to their lord. Lord Tytos, a generous, kind man, rewarded the Kennel Master for his bravery, quick thinking, and for saving his life, despite the consequences. The Lord of Casterly Rock gave the man lands, a tower house, and took his son as a squire. The Kennel Master, to honor the dogs that died, and the ones that helped him earn this reward, created a sigil for his house that would always remind him of them. 3 dogs for the 3 that died, on a banner of yellow for the autumn grass they fought in. The Kennel Master became the first knight of House Clegane. The Clegane lands were created south and east of Lannisport, though there is debate about where their tower house, Clegane's Keep, is located. It's supposed to be located southeast of Lannisport, but it's also said to be across the Red Fork in the Westerlands, which would make it northeast of Lannisport, near the Golden Tooth. As we don't have a clarification, this is the general area House Clegane has control over. Under Clegane's Keep, there is a small village. The Kennel Master controlled his lands for some time, but like all men, eventually he passed away. When the Kennel Master died, his son became the Lord of the Clegane lands, and he would go on to have 2 sons, Gregor and Sandor, and 1 daughter. Around 277 AC, a woodcarver set up shop in the village under Lord Clegane's Keep. To buy favor with Lord Clegane, the woodcarver made wonderful toys and sent them to the Lord's children as gifts. Gregor got a wooden knight, painted with every joint pegged and separated and fixed with string so that you could make it fight. Well, Sandor, being around 7, of course wanted the toy his older brother was given. At around 12 years old, his older brother Gregor had no real use for a toy. He was already a squire, almost 6 feet tall, and muscled like an ox. So Sandor, figuring his brother wouldn't miss the toy, took the knight toy to play with. Sandor was always scared of his brother, and eventually Gregor found out what he did and where he was. After Gregor found out that Sandor took his knight toy, a toy he wasn't even playing with, he found his younger brother in a room next to a brazier. Gregor never said a word as he picked his younger brother up from under his arm and shoved the side of his face down into the burning coals. Gregor held his brother there as he screamed and screamed and screamed. But Gregor wouldn't relent. It took 3 grown men to pull Gregor off Sandor and to get his face out of the fire. However, the damage was done, and Sandor would live with the scars of the attack for the rest of his life. The left side of his face would be in ruin. His ear burned away, leaving nothing but a hole. Down by his jaw, you could see a hint of bone where the flesh had been seared away. And although his left eye was spared, all around it was a twisted mass of scars. Slick black flesh hard as leather, pocked with craters and deep cracks that gleamed red and wet whenever he moved. The maesters gave the burn boy ointments, and Lord Clegane, to cover up the brutality of what his son had done, told everyone that Sandor's bedding had caught fire. And honestly, I think the actor for Sandor Clegane in the show nailed it when he shared with Arya about this incident.
The pain was bad. The smell was worse. But the worst thing was that it was my brother who did it. My father, who protected him, told everyone my bedding caught fire.
Despite this vicious attack on his brother, 4 years later, Gregor would be knighted by Rhaegar Targaryen, something his younger brother Sandor would be incredibly upset over, refusing to ever become knighted himself and believing knights were basically dumb cunts.
Dumb cunt.
Being a knight didn't mean Sir Gregor got any nicer. His most infamous deed would come when he was 17 years old. Already a huge man who was unstoppably fierce. You know when someone is known as the Mountain or the Mountain that rides? He's a big guy. Almost 8 feet tall, over 400 pounds of all muscle, he could one-hand a two-handed greatsword, and he could use it to cut a man in half with a single blow. He wore armor so heavy that no other man could bear the weight or move in it. So back to that infamous deed. In 283 AC, Robert's rebellion was in full swing, and of course, being a Westerman, he followed his liege lord, Tywin Lannister. Sandor was of course there as well, but we don't hear much about him during Robert's rebellion. Tywin had not taken a side in the rebellion, instead waiting to see what would happen. Finally, Tywin came to King's Landing with his army under the guise of a friend of the Mad King. The Mad King fell for the trick and opened the gates of King's Landing to Tywin and his men. Gregor was in his army and one of the first Lannister soldiers to enter King's Landing. Tywin then proceeded to sack King's Landing instead of helping the king. Upon reaching the Red Keep, Lord Lannister sent Gregor and Sir Armory Lorch to scale Maegor's Holdfast to take care of Rhaegar Targaryen's children. Though Tywin gave no orders to harm Ilya Martell, Gregor took it upon himself to dash the infant Prince Aegon Targaryen, son of the man that had knighted Gregor, against the wall and then rape Ilya, the baby's mother, with the baby's blood and brains still on his hands. After raping her, he killed her. Those that suspected this would never say the story within earshot of Gregor, of course. They really didn't want to die. With Rhaegar and the Mad King dead, Robert Baratheon soon arrived at King's Landing and became the new king of the Seven Kingdoms. Gregor returned home, and shortly after Robert's coronation, his father mysteriously had a tragic hunting accident. With his father's sudden death under very mysterious circumstances that surely Gregor had no connection to, Gregor became Lord Clegane and inherited the keep, the gold, and the family estates. Understandably, the same day his brother became Lord of Clegane's Keep, Sandor left to take service with the Lannisters as a sworn sword. He would never return, not even to visit. Which is perhaps a good thing, as there would be more queer events at Clegane Keep. It became known as a grim place, and even dogs were afraid to enter the hall. There were dark whispers of the death of Gregor's first 2 wives, and the countless servants that would disappear suddenly. Then there was the death of Gregor's younger sister, who died very young, under very odd circumstances. The new Lord Clegane would seldom leave his lands, and he enjoyed remaining a solitary man, which is perhaps good for everybody else. The only exceptions were for wars and tourneys. He followed Lord Tywin Lannister into battle when the Greyjoy Rebellion was fought in 289 AC. Ned Stark remembers that Gregor had ridden with them during the war, but he never remembers speaking to the man, which is probably a good thing, Ned. Lord Clegane at some point formed the Mountain's men-at-arms of the Westerlands that served Gregor. They were considered a grim, foul-mouthed, and dangerous group of men, but that didn't mean they escaped Gregor's cruelty. One of the Mountain's men was killed by Gregor for the offense of snoring. Though Gregor never took his men to court, he brought them along for other fun adventures of killing and maiming. When the books and show begin, House Clegane is still under the control of Gregor, and his brother Sandor serves as a bodyguard and servant of Prince Joffrey Baratheon. So that is House Clegane. Thanks for watching, make sure to like and subscribe for more content.